Welcome to Kinetic Speicher. We are all in Corona lockdown, so I'm bored and I miss having rope people around and I miss having rope mojos and events and jams. So I thought I'd rather make a small video series on Shibari, especially for now on single column ties and double column ties and special column ties, because I think the more I learn and the more often I revisit these knots, the deeper my understanding gets. So this is going to be a deep dive into single column ties. We're going to nerd out on some stuff, especially on topology of knots, and how knots are constructed, and how to change the topology of the knot while retaining the form, but changing the internal structure without changing the knot. It sounds a bit complicated, but it's very, very useful if you want to tie it right. So it's going to be interesting. Also, we will talk about symmetry. And we talk about how knots have directionality, and we will talk about properties. And we will talk about 3 different knots. We will talk about the Somerville bowline, which is, I think, is the most stable knot and the most secure knot. So if you want to do something a bit more risky, or if you're a beginner, this is not for you. Then we will talk about the granny knot, which is like a good compromise if you tie it right. If you don't tie it right, it sucks. But if you tie it right, it's going to be like a good compromise between the Somerville bowline and the reef knot. And in the end, we will talk about the reef knot, which is, I think, the most beautiful and the most stylish of these knots. So the reef knot is going to be interesting because it's not very stable unless you tie it correctly. So, and then we will talk about some special applications, like a single column tie that gets tighter when you pull, which is sometimes desirable, but most of the time it's not. But sometimes it's kind of useful to have this as an application on hand. Also, to each of these knots, I will share knowledge that is not commonly taught online. So this is going to be quite interesting. One note though, we are using like kind of very fine, very thin jute rope, which has a lot of teeth to it, and it's very sort of stiff. And that helps a lot with keeping this knot stable. So if you use different rope, this may not work for you. So let's see how this goes.